The world stopped for a moment today. The royal bells of Copenhagen rang across the sky, their echoes carried by emotion, history, and love. In a scene straight from a fairy tale, Princess Leonor de Borbón Ortiz of Spain, the future queen, has just married His Royal Highness Prince Christian of Denmark. A union once whispered in rumor, now sealed before the eyes of Europe and the world. Spain meets Denmark. Two royal houses, centuries apart in lineage, joined by two hearts that defied distance, tradition, and expectation. It wasn't just a royal wedding, it was history being rewritten. As the cameras zoomed in, Leonor stepped out of the carriage, her diamond tiara catching the northern light. The crowd fell silent. She looked every inch the queen she was born to become, graceful, calm, radiant. Her dress shimmered like morning dew on glass, a Spanish masterpiece, hand-stitched with gold threads, its long train embroidered with the floral emblems of Spain and Denmark intertwined. A symbol of unity, a promise of peace. But when she met Christian's eyes at the altar, the entire world saw something else, not royalty, not ceremony, but love. Real, unfiltered love. The kind that breaks through centuries of protocol. The kind that turns a crown into something human. The ceremony took place inside the Cathedral of Copenhagen, bathed in candlelight and soft organ music. The royal families of Europe filled the pews, King Felipe and Queen Letizia of Spain, Crown Prince Frederick and Queen Mary of Denmark, the British royal representatives, and dignitaries from across the continent. Yet all eyes were on the young couple standing before the priest, the next generation of Europe's royalty, united not by politics but by choice. When Christian spoke his vows, his voice trembled, steady but emotional. "Leonor," he said softly, "from this day forward, I will honor you, stand beside you, and love you, not just as a prince but as a man who found his home in your heart." A hush swept the cathedral. Leonor's eyes glistened with tears, her lips trembling as she whispered, "And I will love you, Christian, not just as a princess, but as the woman who chooses you every day, even when the world is watching." The moment their hands touched, something unspoken passed between them, the shared knowledge that their love carried not just themselves, but the weight of two nations. Outside, thousands gathered in the cold Danish air, waving Spanish and Danish flags. When the bells began to ring, signaling the end of the ceremony, the crowd erupted in cheers. "Viva la reina!" shouted the Spanish supporters, while Danish voices answered with, "Lang leve prinsen!" Long live the prince! Then came the kiss, gentle, elegant, yet deeply emotional. A kiss that made history. The cameras caught it from every angle, but for those few seconds, Leonor and Christian looked as though the world around them disappeared. Only love remained. Queen Letizia was visibly emotional, her eyes brimming with pride and nostalgia. She clutched King Philippe's hand tightly. For her, this wasn't just a wedding, it was a farewell to the little girl who once held her hand at palace ceremonies. King Philippe's expression was solemn, proud, the face of a father who knows that his daughter's destiny has just begun. From Denmark's royal balcony, Queen Mary smiled tenderly at the couple. It was she, after all, who had welcomed Leonor with open arms when the young princess first began visiting Copenhagen years ago. She once said, "Leonor carries the warmth of Spain in her soul, but the calm strength of Denmark in her heart." Today, that truth came to life. As the royal carriage rolled through the streets, lined with red and gold banners, the newlyweds waved at the cheering crowds. Christian leaned close, whispering something that made Leonor laugh, an unscripted, genuine moment caught by the cameras. It reminded everyone that beneath the crowns and the ceremony, they were just two people in love. Back in Spain, plazas and squares were filled with giant screens showing the ceremony live. People gathered in Madrid, Barcelona, and Asturias, waving flags and singing, "Viva la Reina." Spanish newspapers called it, El Amor Real, the real love, a perfect play on words, both royal and romantic. In Denmark, the atmosphere was equally electric. For the Danes, this was more than a wedding. It was a glimpse of a future where two monarchies would stand side by side, united through the next generation. The Danish press described it as the most heartfelt royal moment in modern history. But beyond the beauty, beyond the glittering crowns, there was an unspoken question: what does this mean for Europe's future? Some analysts believe this marriage could redefine royal diplomacy in the modern age. A bridge between northern and southern Europe, a symbol of unity in a divided continent. Others see it as a quiet revolution, two young royals choosing love, not political convenience. After the ceremony, at the royal banquet held in Amalienburg Palace, speeches brought laughter and tears alike. King Felipe rose to toast the couple, his voice steady yet emotional. "My daughter," he said, "you were born into duty, but today, you chose love. That makes you not only a princess but a true leader." The guests rose in applause. Even Christian's grandmother, Queen Margrethe, smiled warmly, raising her glass high. Later, as the music began and the ballroom filled with dancing, Leonor and Christian shared their first dance as husband and wife. The orchestra played a soft Spanish waltz blended with Danish folk notes, a musical union that mirrored their love. Leonor's dress sparkled under the chandeliers as she leaned against Christian's shoulder. Cameras captured every detail, but the tenderness between them was something no lens could fully describe. Midway through the evening, Princess Sofia approached her sister. The two hugged tightly, a moment of sisterly emotion in the midst of royal grandeur. Sofia whispered something that made Leonor laugh through tears. The sisters, once inseparable girls, now stood as women in a world that had finally recognized their strength. The guests danced late into the night. European royals mingled with global dignitaries, but everyone's attention kept returning to the couple. Their smiles were effortless, their connection undeniable. When the time came to leave the hall, Leonor and Christian walked hand in hand through a corridor lined with candles. Outside, fireworks exploded above the palace, a shower of gold and red, mirroring the colors of both nations. As the night deepened, they stepped out onto the balcony once more. Below them, the crowds still waited, cheering their names in two languages. Christian turned to Leonor, kissed her forehead, and whispered, "This is our beginning." She smiled, eyes glistening, replying softly, "Then let's begin together." And there, beneath the stars of Denmark, the future king and queen of Europe stood, two hearts, one destiny. The world watched in awe, realizing that they had just witnessed more than a royal event. They had witnessed love, real, royal, eternal. This wasn't just another royal wedding. It was the union of two legacies, two nations, two souls. Princess Leonor de Borbón Ortiz and Prince Christian of Denmark, a story that began with quiet friendship and ended with a vow that would echo through time. And tonight, as Europe celebrates, one truth rings louder than any royal bell: history has found its heartbeat once again.